Hello there everybody. So today I'm going to be showing you a build for the Holy Warlock or a Burn Dragon Hunter, and I'll explain why it's able to work when we're going through the traits. All of your gear is going to be Sinister. You want to switch in as much carrion gear as you need to survive. Past that though, you want to stick to Sinister. I've been trying out everything else, and Grieving and Vipers are both okay. Vipers is great against groups that are not very good at cleansing or disorganized pugs, then Vipers is better than Sinisters, but otherwise stick with Sinister. On your Scepter focus, you're going to be running Torment and Fire. On the staff, it's going to be Corruption and Fire. On your armor, it's going to be Balthazar's. And the reasons behind this, for Balthazar's, it's the only rune that has condition damage, burn duration, maximum health. You really need all of it. It's a great addition. On the Fire Sigils and Torment Sigil, the reason behind those two is Fire sets off Permeating Wrath an additional 2 times since all of your skills hit 5 targets. An extra 5 hits gives you 10 hits or 3 activations of Permeating Wrath. That greatly increases your uh, ability to burst people down or to burst groups down. Over the course of 3 seconds, the Fire Sigils are worth 18k damage and the Torment Sigils are worth 15. And those are the best two as far as damage goes. Torment also additionally helps to cover your burns a little bit better. Alright, so let's take a look at the traits here. Trait lines are going to be Zeal, Virtues, and Dragon Hunter. For Zeal, we have Lesser Symbol of Wrath, a little bit of extra retail and damage. Not particularly useful for this build. Symbolic Exposure, extra vulnerability is always great. And Symbolic Power, a little bit of extra damage on your symbols and a little bit of extra burning, which is, again, it's always great. On your major traits, you're going to be running Zealous Scepter. This combined with your Permeating Wrath gives you 25 stacks of might all of the time. Doesn't matter if you have a party, doesn't matter where you're at, so you can freely position wherever you want to and still have maximum damage possible. If you are going to be running with a group and you're going to be staying tight to tag, then I would stick with Fiery Wrath. Kindled Zeal gives you an additional 10% of your power as condition damage. The other two traits are absolute garbage for this trait line, so you can skip those. And Eternal Armory. Again, I know spirit weapons, they've been a meme for like 6 years. This is actually really good. The latest change that allows you to target where you're going to place them makes it so that you can put it in front of the enemy group so that they run through it and it just shits out damage. This gives it a little bit of recharge reduce, an additional cast, and it causes each and every swing to burn. So this hits 5 targets and it hits 4 times, so each person gets 4 stacks of burning. And since this hits 20 times, it's going to activate Permeating Wrath another 6 times, so 10 stacks of burning on every cast. It also comes with Vulnerability and Cripple already built into it, so that's nice. The Cripple actually fires off your dulled senses as well to help stack Vulnerability faster. So throwing this down once will almost cap the people you're firing on for Vulnerability. In Virtues, you have a little bit of extra might on your F1. You're never going to use it, so not a big deal. A little bit of extra regen is always nice, and protection, which, again, is always great, especially if you're going to be running with friends. A little bit of extra retaliation and duration increase, and extra damage based on boons, and cooldown reduce. So pretty sweet and simple. You're going to be running Master of Consecrations, because Wall of Reflection does a significant amount of damage, and this gives it a 50% uptime. Absolute Resolution. This is your only Condi clear, so you need to make it good, and it needs to work every time. So this is just kind of nice to have. Plus a little bit of extra healing per second for you. Permeating Wrath, one of the best traits in the game. It's criminally underused. Every third attack, it fires off an AoE burn. It hits 5 targets for 3 seconds. Right, and in Dragon Hunter, we're going to be running Dulled Senses, which enemies that you cripple are inflicted with vulnerability. Zealot's Aggression increases damage to crippled targets by 10%, and every time that your Justice passive effect fires, it also cripples everybody, and since it cripples, it also causes vulnerability. So every third hit you do causes an AoE burn, an AoE cripple, and an AoE vulnerability. These stack up really nicely, and they're why the Dragon Hunter build can work. You can use it independently of whether or not your group has scourges or doesn't have scourges to provide cover conditions, because this provides enough for its own. Conditions are removed last on, first off. So with this, it fires off Permeating Wrath, so you burn, then you cripple, then you apply vulnerability. Now, if you're fighting against a group with antitoxin scrappers, every second they remove 2 conditions. So it'll remove the vulnerability and the cripple, but your burning remains. This is what allows it to continue to tick for so long. This is a really great combination to use. And Hunter's Fortification reduces the damage that you take by 10%, and every time that you block, it removes a condition. So your F3 removes conditions, and on your Scepter set, Focus 5 will also remove conditions. So that's a little bit of extra condition removal. It helps out. You can run Shelter instead of Litany of Wrath as well, so it's a little bit of extra block if you do want to go that route. I think Litany is probably stronger, though, overall. On your minor traits, whenever you block, it resets Justice. So what's nice is if you have an enemy group that you're pushing into, you can use your F3 shield, and then every single attack that you block resets your Justice. So every time that they hit you and it gets blocked, it just continually fires off burning so long as you're hitting them. And Pure of Sight, which gives you an extra 7% damage at enemies within 600 range and 13% over 600 range. Everything on this build is going to be at 900 range, and it's very squishy, so you probably want to stay there. So you're always going to get that little bit of extra damage. All right, let's take a look at our weapon skills. So we have your staff auto attack. In total, this hits 9 times, so this will fire off, or 9 potential hits every auto attack chain, which can fire off Permeating Wrath 3 times. It's a projectile, which kind of sucks, but used well, or if you're hitting the enemy group from the side or standing on top of a ledge or something, this is really nice to continually fire off damage. Holy Strike can be used as a personal heal if you need a little bit. Let's say that Retail's been killing you. You can use this on yourself, or you can throw it into the enemy group for an extra 5 hits. Symbol of Swiftness pulses 5 times, and it pulses on the initial hit as well. 15-second cooldown. This is great. What I like to do is usually I'll throw down Symbol of Swiftness and then Holy Strike right on top of it. That way anybody who's in my group in melee range will get a nice little condi clear, and the enemy group gets hit with things in a burstier fashion. You end up hitting with a symbol, and then I think symbol ticks a second time at the same time that Holy Strike goes off. So it's a little bit of extra burst. Empower is going to be used for providing might to your allies if you have any around, or for healing yourself. It's not a huge heal, but every little bit helps, especially when you're not going to be standing right on top of the tag in a melee engagement. You just don't have the defenses for it. And Line of Warding, I think you all know what this is good for. You throw it out in front of the enemy group, and since it's a ground hazard, they can't dodge over it. The only thing that stops them from getting knocked down is if they have stability. You want to try and throw this into the middle of the enemy group or the back of the enemy group as they're running. That way the stragglers that don't have stability can get picked off easier by your friends or by you. On the Scepter and Focus set, your Scepter auto attack, use it if you have to. Symbol of Punishment is great. This hits 5 times over the course of 4 seconds, and it has an additional 8 impacts. So you get the regular symbol damage, and then you get an additional 8 hits on top of that. So this sets off Permeating Wrath quite a bit. Chains of Light, 2-second immobilize on an absurdly long cooldown. Hopefully that gets reduced at some point in time, but for now it's great for catching stragglers. Ray of Judgment hits 9 times over the course of 6 seconds, so a hit every 0.75 seconds. I like to throw this on the enemy group in between casts of Sword of Justice. And Shield of Wrath, which has great damage in melee range. It's better used as a defensive tool, though, or as a blast for stealth. Your utility skills, we have Litany of Wrath. For 6 seconds, 25% of all the damage you deal is returned to you as healing. This does a shitload of damage, so if you're using this, you're immune to retaliation for the duration of it, for all 6 seconds, and it makes you fairly tanky, fairly hard to kill. Sword of Justice is, again, fantastic. Since the change to it, it's really worth giving a shot. Stand Your Ground, give you a little bit of stability to your friends, a little bit of retaliation. This is your only stun break, so even if you're running with a group of people, you want to save this for yourself. There's probably going to be a dedicated firebrand that's going to provide stab, but you can be used in place of a scrapper in a second squad or in a second party. Or, again, just use it to save yourself. You don't want to blow this early. Wall of Reflection, 50% uptime, reflects projectiles. It's great stuff. You'll see in the videos later how much damage these reflex can do, because every third hit from the reflect also fires off Permeating Wrath. So let's say that you're camping an unorganized group and they've got a bunch of soul beasts who just keep firing into it. They will light their own Zerg up. It's hysterical. And Renewed Focus is your elite. This resets the cooldowns of each of your F skills and provides you with 3-second invulnerability. Really great to use to get out of a hot spot. F1, don't use it. You want to keep this off cooldown, because if it's on cooldown, Permeating Wrath does not work. So you really don't want to use this unless you're like at the end of a fight and you have one person left and they're booking it. You can use this to grab them and pull them back to your group. But otherwise, you almost never want to use this. Wings of Resolve is a leap. It removes 5 conditions, 3 of which from where you land, 2 of which from where you take off. It removes mobile from you. It has a 4K heal, so this is fairly strong. I like to use it for repositioning. Like if I get into a hot spot and the damage starts coming in, then you want to use this to get out of danger, because it'll also help to heal you right back up. Shield of Courage has great synergy with Defender's Dogma. It's a 3-second block in front of you and gives you Aegis when it's not on cooldown. It also gives you protection, so what I like to do is use this to get into 900 range and burst, or to run into melee range and burst. And the combo you want to use is Shield of Courage, then Sword of Justice, Symbol of Punishment, Sword of Justice, Ray of Judgment, Sword of Justice. That'll allow you to put out the most burst possible while still staying safe. And if you need to, you can then use your F2 to get out of danger. You can use your Shield 5 to protect yourself in case this runs out early. Or your Litany of Wrath, again, it will keep you almost full healed. So let's take a look at some gameplay, and I'll show you guys where to position your bombs, how to do damage, and what you want to look for.
Sun comes up before you go. burning.